Hey everybody, I'm Miss Paige, and the loud cat that you hear in the background is Ariel. She's going to be attempting to help me while I make this video. So if at any point I disappear for a second, it's probably because she's gotten into paints. So what we're going to do today is recreate the project from last Saturday's Arts Club. I know a lot of youth members weren't able to make it out that day, which I completely understand. But we wanted to open it up to anybody to view. So with all of us being stuck in our homes, a little art is a fun way to pass the time. So for this one, you'll need paper of some sort. If you have art paper that's a little bit heavier or a piece of cardstock, that's going to work best because we're using watercolors. But if you don't, that's okay. You can use regular paper. You're just going to have to be more careful with how much water you put on it so that you don't tear the paper. So in addition to paper, so the other thing that we need is a pencil. You're also going to need some watercolors, some sort of cup or container for your water, and some brushes. I have two different size brushes for this project. I have one that's pretty little so that I can do branches and things, and I have one that's wider so it doesn't take as long to do the background and things. But use what you've got. Any brushes will work for it. You just may have to modify your project. So we are going to start off by drawing. Forgot. So the other part of this project that is the last step is a three-dimensional element to it. So if you have tissue paper around at your house from a gift or packing materials, things like that, we're going to use that to add some of those cherry blossoms to the artwork itself. If you don't have it, don't worry about it because you can always just paint in some flowers to add that texture. Okay, so to get started, we're going to draw in that sort of crooked, gnarly branch, or tree trunk rather, with some branches coming off of it. You don't have to draw all of the little teeny tiny branches because we're going to paint them in, and sometimes it's more difficult to do if you've already drawn everything in. So you can start in the middle. I like to start off to the side, and it sort of just seems like a curvy line, right? So it doesn't have to stay. I am going to put some of my side branches off of here. Yep, she fell in a box. We will proceed. And then I'm going to use my eraser and just get rid of some of those little lines that are where it connected to the tree trunk. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to have to start painting. So, like always, with our watercolor paints, we need to dip our brush into the water and wake up our paints, right? We need to add enough water so that they will flow when we paint with them. I'm just going to do my tree trunk brown. You can do yours brown as well, or you can switch it up and use a different color. As you're painting it, don't worry if you get different variations in your color or some texture, because that'll add to the effect of that sort of gnarled old tree branch. Okay, so I have the tree trunk and then some of those larger branches coming off. So if we think about those as sort of like the arms, we need to add some fingers or smaller branches onto the ends of those. So in that case, I'm going to use my smaller paintbrush just so that I can get those skinnier lines. Okay, once you have your tree branches in, you're going to want to make sure that both of your brushes are washed out. And then we're going to want to let it dry. It probably won't take too long to dry, maybe even just 5 minutes. But you want your tree to be nice and dry so that then when we paint in some of that color in the background for the sky, it's not going to all blend together. So you'll still be able to see the lines of your tree that you drew. So in some of the examples, we did sort of more traditional sky colors like blue, or like a blue and a purple. So you can do regular sky colors. If you want to make it all blue, you totally can. We had some kids who did pretty cool rainbow effective colors last week. I showed some of those photos of them working at the beginning. So you can go back and look at those. I'll try to post some of those in the comments for the Facebook post as well, so that you can see and be inspired by other people. So you can decide what colors you want to do. I did another one that was all like pinks and oranges and yellows. I think for this one I am just going to do more of a blue sky, but I might do some different colors of blue and things like that. But like I said, make sure that it's nice and dry before you start your colors. When you do, again, remember, wet your brush, wake up your colors. For this one, we want them to be a little bit more watery than the paint for your tree because we want them to be lighter colors and more airy. So I'm going to wait just a minute for this to dry, and we'll speed it up so you don't have to wait for me. And then we'll paint in the sky. Okay. So mine is pretty dry. I don't think I have any wet spots. Nope. So I'm going to start painting in the sky. So one thing to remember when you're doing this, because you're using that more watered down paint, if you're using thin paper, it may really soak through. So if it seems like there's too much water in an area, move to a different section and let that part dry. Because it will be okay once it dries, but if you keep working it, you're going to tear through your paper. Alright, so I said I was going to do some blue colors for my background. So in my watercolor set, I have 2 colors of blue already. So that works out for me. But if you didn't, you could always mix colors too, right? So you could put a little bit of blue with a little bit of green to make more of that teal color and add some variation to your sky. It's up to you. Play around. Make it rainbow. Make it all one color if you want. Whatever you would like to see. Okay, so remember we're going to have lots of water on it. And we're just going to come in and start filling in around our tree. Now, if you end up with places around that have white still, that's okay. It sort of fits with what we're doing and adds more of that sort of like bright sunny with some clouds. So you'll see mine's dripping a little bit, and that's okay. It's just because I'm working on an easel, so it's not a flat surface like a table. But no worries there. I'm going to do some more of that light blue. So I'm just going to continue to fill the background of mine, so we'll speed that up a little bit. Add color to yours, and once you get that part done, we'll continue by adding in your flower blossoms. Okay, so I finished the background of it, so I'm going to make sure my brushes are all rinsed out for next painting that I do. So the next step is going to be with that tissue paper. So if you had some tissue paper, you're going to end up cutting it into squares, and don't let them fly everywhere like I do. So you really only need them to be like 1.5 inches square. Doesn't have to be exact at all, because we're just going to be twisting them up into flowers. But you're going to go back to that pencil that you had, so the eraser end, and you're going to put that right in the center of your tissue paper and push on it. So then you're going to fold up those extra sides around your pencil and twist. And that's going to give you that sort of opening blossom look to it. So once we have those and our painting is all dry, we're going to add a little bit of glue. So I didn't have a big bottle of just Elmer's school glue, but I had some little ones left over from a project, so I'm going to use that. If you don't have that, if you had a glue stick, you could probably make that work and just add a little bit on the ends. Tacky glue, see what you got, make use of what you have. And like I said before, if you don't have tissue paper, at this point you could go in and just paint in some flowers. In the ones that we did Saturday, we had colors, different colors of tissue paper, which was pretty cool. But here at home, I only had white. So I'm going to do mine in white, and then at the end maybe we'll test and see about adding a little bit of watercolor to dye them different colors. Okay, so we will get started. So again, I'm just twisting that onto the end of my paper, or onto the end of my pencil rather, not my paintbrush. And then I'm going to put just a little teeny tiny dot of glue and stick it on one of my branches. So your pencil should come right out once you stick it there, but if it doesn't, you may have to sort of hold on to your flower and push that against your paper. So, and then you're just going to keep repeating and keep adding and filling in those flower blossoms on your tree. Alright, so I need to get some more, and I'll fast forward on this, and you guys keep working at your own pace. Fill in your artwork with as many blossoms as you would like. If you want to add a little bit of extra color, gently paint the edges of the blossoms with your chosen watercolor. Don't try to add color to the entire blossom, just add little pops of color so that they're not just plain white. Once you're finished, make sure you sign your artwork and share it with somebody. If an adult allows you, you can even take a picture and post it to our Facebook page so that lots of people can see and be inspired by your artwork.